Welcome. We're back for another season of Studio B sessions. Who can believe there's another season? Obviously, a lot is the same, but we are changing a lot of things. So we wanted to make it better. Last season, I did it, the fastest way possible to, do this as a passion project where we could share information, knowledge, fun things about video production, help other filmmakers out there. And it was done with one camera, the quickest way I could, no editing. We're still going to keep with that theme. It's going to be raw, real, unfiltered conversations with no editing, but we did make it fancy. We got multi cameras. Let's cut them. Let's see. And it's all being live cut. Let's cut. Yeah, look at that. So look at that. All right. So and then the person doing this is our producer from last season, Mario. So he's helping us
Hey
produce
guys.
this. So awesome. All right. And our guest this time is Esteban. Thank you for coming. A filmmaker who's been doing this for a few years. You just moved from Memphis all the way to Orlando, where I am. So welcome. How's it going, man?
Doing good, man. Thank you for the opportunity. It's been fun. I've helped you quite a bit to set up the multicam and all that stuff, and it's super fun when you help people that is their passion project, and you're also a gearhead and nerd. When all it comes to all
Yeah.
cameras and stuff. So this is super fun for me as well, and thank you for the opportunity.
Of course, and the point of this is just to have conversations with people, and not only just have fun, man. Like this is what I love. This is the passion, but also there's so much knowledge that can be given to people, who maybe new or even been doing for a while, and just haven't heard because some people in the industry like to gatekeep, and that's just not my style. I'm like everything should be open, and you get more business when you're more open, not the other way around. That old school thinking needs to go away, right? We can all help each other grow and do better. And what's awesome to me is how we connected. So just to tell the story, it's so interesting. So I was doing the shoot for one of my clients. It's a car company. We need to do a shoot, and they had a decent budget, but nothing major. It wasn't like a big manufacturer, so we couldn't just pull like I have Tilta Hydra Alien, the full size mounts, so we can do a car rig. We can put an FX6, FX3, or 4D Ronin, whatever on it. But I wanted to do. We had like 2 hours total. I think we had two tracks, an hour each. And I was like, how's the fast way we can do it without cutting the quality? Because my client deserves the best, right? And I was like, oh, here's a camera that I've been ignoring, which is the DJI Pocket 3. And shout out to Justin, who was here on last season, who put me, who got me excited about the camera. And I was like, that'd be perfect because Tilta makes the little Hydra Alien Mini, which is kind of like the full size, just smaller for the Pocket 3. So essentially, that was my plan, right? I was like, I'm going to bring a couple of these, couple of Pocket 3s. We can do it fast because of the tracking features. It's a small camera and we can move fast, but also the footage will be good, having seen the footage. And now the problem, I go straight to B&H or Amazon, and the camera is apparently sold out because it's
Mhm.
popular. And so I go to our group chat, started by David. I was like, hey, anyone got a Pocket 3? And you reached out to me. And man, you were a godsend on that shoot. You like killed it. I'm gonna have you take it from there. If you're gonna talk just on your side, what happened?
All right. So first of all, let me preface this with the footage looked sick.
Yes, I
man.
can't
Yeah.
wait to. The project's still not done yet, but I can't wait to share it because
Yeah,
it's gonna look
same.
incredible.
I'm like so eager to see what we actually come up with that one because it looked
Yeah.
amazing. That was fun. I will say this. All right, but a little bit about how we got here. Um, I've been doing this for 2 years. Then I own a company called Phoenix Films, right? And we started in Memphis, and then we started doing some concerts and live events. And in Memphis, you're not gonna
Hmm.
get that type of stuff, right? So then we got two massive gigs here in the state of Florida, and then we got asked to bid for another big project over here, and then we lost it because you can't compete with pricing when you're adding flights and
Hmm.
hotels and all that stuff. And then I just told my business partner and my wife, hey, pack your bags and go. And then we're here. um that has its challenges because I was in Memphis for a little over 24 years. So, I know everybody. I know uh, the mechanic, the guy at the bakery shop, like all the little, all the little ins and outs of the city. I knew that. And then you get to a city that is 5 times bigger than Memphis. And you got some stiff competition. Okay. So he got to a point where like, okay, fine, we did the gigs that we came here to do, and then now what do I do?
Yeah.
Okay. Now to take on the part that you said about gatekeeping and stuff like that, right? I can't agree with you more on that statement because that's how I started with my business partner too. We both used to do our thing on the side, and then we message each other, and then hey, let's do one of these like fun projects, and then that turned into like, hey man, can I borrow your your 35 millimeter? I got an interview here, and then it got to a point where I had a big project coming up, right? And I couldn't do it by myself. Like, there's no way I could have pulled this one off by myself. So I was like, okay, we want it to work together. Okay, let's do it. This is the time. And then from that project, it came another project, then it came another project, and it came another project. And then I was like, okay, man, we've been working on 5 projects together. Might as well just go and at it together and just, start working things as a team instead of like,
and life is easier, when there's more of you. I've always, not to be real, my company technically it's just me, but there's hundreds of people behind it because I'm hiring so many different people. Because at the end of the day, this is a collaborative thing. I don't remember seeing a movie with the title credit of one person, right? I'm sure there's some random indie project, but I'm saying like nothing nice can be made because it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of people from pre-production, to post-production to everything. And if you can find somebody, especially in the corporate commercial field where I am, and you're more like I think in the event space, event production and similar to what I'm doing, it's easier to have people that you can partner with. So if you two were in the same trajectory and it sounded like it clicked, but you're talking about Alex, right? I had a great chance to meet him on that shoot. So yeah, great guy. Had fun working with him. So I'm so glad. So now you two came together, right?
So this is another thing that actually helps when it comes to that. So he is much younger than I am. I'm about to be 45 years old, and he's 28. So he's all into the Instagram and this. Everything has to be Instagrammable and go on that. And I'm more into the corporate side of the stuff. So like, I was the one to push, to have an actual website, to do our, branding, to do, make it look more like an actual company and not just 2 dudes with, with cameras,
Exactly.
and he's the one that actually goes and records the cool stuff and puts it on on the social media and that kind of stuff. So the beauty of that is when we combine 2 very different styles, okay, things actually look very nice. So for example, we got into the event stuff because of him. Okay, so he's the one that likes the music. I'm the one who was doing, interviews and corporate commercials and working with restaurants and things like that, right? But then you could tell that I had a super corporate style, and then he started editing, some of the commercial work that we have done. And then, I mean, the thing just went a whole different route, and customers loved it, So, we were in it, 50-50 because like it was a both thing. It's like, listen, dude, you got things that I don't have, and he has things that I don't have, So, that's the beauty of it, right? So then to take it even further, right? When we did the project, the shoot the other day together, I was actually seeing and learning from you guys and, taking things, okay, oh, what do you guys do that we can
Hmm.
incorporate into our workflow,
Yeah, exactly.
and I think that's where having a great community of filmmakers,
Hmm.
it helps. At the end of the day, it helps
Yeah,
everyone, so.
exactly. And that's my entire point. I totally believe in, here's the truth about the industry, because there's shoots where it's going to be, budgets are shrinking, clients expect more, and that's just the way industry is going. You can fight it, but there is no way to, fight that. Now, obviously, I don't want to talk about clients that are trying to take advantage of you. That's a different thing. But I'm saying the industry is going where you have to do more for less budgets. Point is, so there will be projects where you go do them solo. There'll be projects you go do with your partner, and then there will be projects where you need 10, 20, 30 people. You're not going to have those 28 people on your payroll, right?
Right.
So at the end of the day, you work with other people. Like just before we started this, I got a text from a buddy who's like, hey, we need some post-production work. Can Julie tap in? And it's like, absolutely. That's why we're here. Because that doesn't mean we're instantly his editor, right? His editor's bogged down with work, but that doesn't mean he's going to stop taking work, right? You cannot bring on another editor full time because that's not where your company is at. It's like, hey, limited time, we need an extra editor. Hey, buddy, you're my friend. Can you help me out? I hope that
Right.
makes sense. It's
Yep.
basically all about tapping into your resources and it helps both. It's extra revenue for me, my editor. It's extra, help for my friend, and then in the end, everyone wins. I hope that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You grow together, you win together. This old school mindset, and I find it very much with either people who've been around in the industry a lot, or just assume that's how it works because that's just your brain thinks like it's a scarcity mindset, right? Like, oh, there's only so much, right? Like I gotta get it all, and then the part they don't get is there's so much work, right? There's so much work, like the amount of gear. I'm not even a gear rental company. The amount of gear I rent to people who's coming from LA, Atlanta, New York, whatever, in Orlando to film, and we're all right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's so much work that we could just be doing, and I'm talking in just our tiny market that is there to go around. That there is no reason to have scarcity mindset. That's just in our brain, right? I have found that anytime I'm open, I'm collaborative, I'm help other people, it always comes back. So that's what I just recommend to people. And look at you, like you said, you were doing great, but now you partner with Alex, and you two can together bring in your personalities together and do better.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, everyone wins, right?
Right. And the you just said something that is totally true. That what goes around comes around. Someday I will help out someone, and next thing you know, your phone is ringing. Be like, hey man, I need help with this. Can you help me with that?
Exactly.
So, um, we say in my country, that brings a tail, right? So that
Hmm.
brings consequences, good consequences, by the way, right? And then for that shoot, for example, I remember you told me I don't have budget for that, dude. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
Like it's all good. Like
exactly.
someday,
Yeah, it'll
it'll
come
come
back, and
back.
you
It'll
never
come
know.
back at
Yeah,
some point. So like,
exactly.
don't worry about it. And that's a good thing about not working in a
Yeah,
scarcity mentality. Just what you said. So that's
exactly.
you're correct
And
about
you'll
that.
be amazed. I've done this with clients where obviously, like for example, I want to work technically direct with clients, right? I don't want to be a day rate person. I want to be a production company. That does not mean I don't have desires to be a DP or help on projects, like you said.
Mhm.
So I've had where somebody's like, "Hey, I just need you today to help me out. Like I don't need a company, right?"
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
could have that. Oh no, no, I'm not gonna help you, and that's the wrong mindset. And you would be amazed how many people where I'm like, "Sure, I'll come just help you," right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's come around, and now it may not have happened right there and then,
Mhm.
but I have clients that I literally met for something really small, and 6 months later, a year later, they're like, "Hey, I got this big project," and now you go, "Oh,
Mhm.
that little project, that little favor comes back because now it's tenfold."
Mhm.
It's something much, much bigger. So it's happened to me, and I know it happens to a lot of people that I know that like they'll help someone, and they'll give it right back. Because sometimes I get projects that are not up my alley, or not the right fit. Then I'm like, hey, here's a contact I know.
Mhm.
Maybe they
Mhm.
can close it, right? Or maybe
Mhm.
they
Mhm.
like to do it.
Mhm.
So that's at least the way I operate, and like I said, it's worked so well. It's been a long time since I've been doing this. I started 2010 freelancing, 2018 the production company. But now like taking back to it. So that's how we met. What's crazy to me though is that, you know, it's one thing because I for a little bit left Orlando and then came back, but I came back to a city I was familiar with. You, on the other hand, literally took your life and committed to, and your wife, and committed, and your business partner, and committing to moving all the way from Memphis, all the way to Orlando. And you not only just moved, you bought a house, so you're committed. How did you get this huge level of commitment? I hear about the jobs, but you know it takes
Well, you know,
more than that.
I have
Right?
an advantage that I actually do have an 8 to 5 job, and I
Mhm.
work remote 100%. So the production company for me is it's kind of like a side hustle for the
Mhm.
moment, right? Which I'm giving myself 3 to 5 years in order to start living off of this, right? Um, so that's what made the decision somewhat easier. Now, with that being said, if I wanted to be ambitious, if I wanted to get the projects that I know we can do,
Mhm.
right? Being in Memphis was not going to cut it,
Yeah.
right? Because I'll tell you why, right? You just said in our tiny market, dude, compared to where I come from, this is massive,
Yeah.
right?
But
So
hey, if you want to know that little time that I was in here, I was in Shoals, Alabama.
yeah,
Talk about Memphis being
yeah,
small.
yep,
Now
yep, yeah, yeah.
that's
That's
like
tiny.
very, very
Yep,
tiny. So I
yep,
know I've been there. What
right.
I'm saying is, and again, I would love to know your experience. But mine was same thing. Everyone told me you're gonna fail because there's no one here to want video production, and whoever wants, there's this already established company. And look, we did spectacular year one. What I'm saying is that I at least don't believe in listening to negative thoughts. Yes, is it going to be as easy? No, but the whole thing is you don't have competition. My entire point is if you're in a small market, yes, you have less gigs going around, but it also means more opportunity because it's you and maybe a few other fish in a tiny pond, you know, but you're also tiny fish, so you can go get, you know, what I mean, like you it's easier to find work. I was able to very easily go establish myself because I was like, hey, there's only but me and another person or another company.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they have tons of choices.
Mm-hmm.
And they can only handle so much, right?
Right.
So here I am, you know, establishing myself. So and it worked great. But go back to what you were
So
talking
you
about.
know, here's the thing with that, right? I actually think I took advantage of that because the companies that we were, I'm gonna say, competing against, you know,
Yeah,
the other people that were doing the
yeah,
exact same thing that we were doing, they have been in the industry. They have been in the industry for 40, 50 years,
yeah.
right? And then you see their you know their product, and it's good quality, right?
Hmm.
But there's that spice, you know,
Yeah.
that it's
It's
needing, you
old
know,
school.
it's
Yeah, you
old
it needs to
school,
be updated.
okay?
Yeah,
So they need the and then we started coming up with like new and refreshing things, and I started getting to a point where my customers were being asked, yo, who did that for you guys, man? You know, so you know,
yeah,
and it's this guy, okay, and
mm,
there's only two of us, right?
yeah,
So then, for me, my mentality was really cutthroat,
yeah,
more like, you know, I'm not trying to be bad or anything, okay, but I want what they got,
yeah.
okay, and I started with a phone and a gimbal, right?
Hmm.
I did not know 2 years, 3 years, almost 3 years ago what ISO 12,800 was. I had no clue, okay,
Yeah,
nothing whatsoever, and then I started, you know, sleepless nights, you know, 3 o'clock in the
yeah.
morning, you know, trying to get. I wanted to do a video with locked on stabilization on it, right?
Mm.
Well, you know, how do you do that? Again, get on it and, you know, start, you
So
know,
YouTube University.
the YouTube
Yeah,
University, and then
yeah,
until we started doing, you know, courses of, you know, for actual
yeah,
photography courses, and you know, and then how to light, and you know, got my Part 107 drone
yeah.
license, and then here we go, and
Yeah,
then
the whole thing.
next thing I know, I got, you know, two FX3s, you know, an FX6, you know, a $2,000 drone, and you know, I got more stuff than I can handle,
Yeah,
and you know, in a oh crap, I got to pay for this stuff, now.
Exactly.
So, that's kind of where we went to.
Exactly. No, I get it. That's just how it starts. But the main thing to me is at least it's your passion. I find that when you do it for a passion, it just makes your work better because it doesn't feel like work. Now coming back to I know you said you have a 9 to 5. What's your 9 to 5?
I'm a software engineer for international paper.
You know what would be crazy? If you talk to my mom, because she would be like, obviously she'd be like, engineering is the ultimate job. To them it's like you make videos for companies that like doesn't seem like real thing. So you're in this situation where now you're a software engineer. You've got a great job. Clearly, you work remote. I mean, life couldn't be any better. And you're like, hey, let me try this art thing called videography and business thing. Like, why do you want to live life on hard mode?
So it was something that I don't know if you remember, but when we were at the track, I actually told you, if you would have asked me 2 years ago that I was going to be trying to do this for a living, I would have told you that you are absolutely nuts, insane, not a chance.
Yeah.
But I think where I made the decision, it was the first time that we went to Miami to go do our first concert. The artist is a pretty big artist. Stadium was 14,000 people in the stands. I mean, the stadium was just pumping.
Yeah.
We didn't go to sleep that night. And then we delivered the video and photography, because we did photography and videography for both. And then we're driving back from Miami to Memphis, 16 hours.
Wow.
And we did it for $1,000. That's all we got
That's
paid.
crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
But for us, it was something amazing. But then driving back on the 16 hours, one guy was driving, the other guy was editing. And we started seeing Instagram. And the footage that we just delivered, it was in Univision, in our RT or RUTN, the Colombian news channel, in El Gordo and La Flaca, and I was like, what? All right.
Yeah.
And the adrenaline rush, I cannot describe it.
Yeah.
We did a couple of Inter Miami games, and to go take pictures and do videos of Lionel Messi, I mean, it was just something else.
Exactly.
We did Miami and Orlando. We went and recorded photography and videography with Ruben Blades. That concert almost brought tears to my eyes, because I mean, he's been singing salsa for 50 years now. And it brought me so many memories, with me and my family and all that. And I can't describe the feeling. Right?
Exactly.
To have backstage access, because you are actually working in the concert. Amazing. Just the adrenaline is just something else. And
no, I totally get it. And I can feel the passion, sitting here with you, because at the end of the day, it's not just about doing video. It's about who and what and when and with who you're doing that video. And it seems like, that made you just fall in love with what we do, right? Making videos, obviously. So that's awesome though. You seems like, even though you've only been doing this 3 years, you've landed yourself, and like you said, you have a 9 to 5, that to an engineering job. You've been able to land yourself a lot of amazing projects. What do you think that sets you apart? Why would a concert in Miami get these two guys from, Memphis,
out of all
Tennessee?
places.
Yeah, of all places. Like you said yourself, not the smallest market, but not a big market. So why? Let's talk about that. How did you guys get that gig?
So going back again to how me and my business partner operate. He is the creative person. I'm the corporate person. That the first guy the artist that I'm talking about, his name is Silvestre Dangon. He's Colombian. That's from his town that he's from. He went to Atlanta to his concert, drove 5 hours, didn't have any contact whatsoever, and stood in the back of the theater. and literally started, saw where the bus was, where the guys were unloading all their gear and everything. And he actually went and he's like, hey man, give me a chance. I want to go take some pictures. I got my cameras over here. And for some reason, the photographer didn't show up that day. Just something out of crazy, okay? Crazy. Now that we've done several concerts, that thing does never happen. So then the guys were in a rush, and they said like, yeah, okay, you with the bag, come over here. Let's come over here and start shooting pictures. And that was his first concert. So he delivered the job the next morning. They loved it, and they started calling him. And then now we're working with the producer. So I was not brought in until the third concert that he was doing. So he did Atlanta first, and then he did Houston, Dallas, and then the fourth concert. On the fourth concert, it was here in Orlando. He drove the 12 hours from Memphis to Orlando, but at that point we were actually working together already. And I said, okay, I'm not gonna make it to Orlando, but this is what you can do. When you get to the hotel at night, put it in a hard drive, go into the Blackmagic, go into create the proxies. Here's my Blackmagic account. Put it all in a project, and while you're driving the 12 hours, I'll edit for you. And so we did, and they loved the edit. It was he was like mind blown, because this is the part of the team that I'm talking about. He is way much more creative than I am, because of my engineering background. I'm the gearhead. I'm the nerd when it comes to effects and editing, and you gotta do 32 degrees in here, and that's the part of photography I like, right? Or videography
the
that I like,
of it,
because looking at curves and this and that, not per se the creative part, right? And that's why in our team, I'm the one that like, oh yeah, the FX2 just came out. Okay, well, yeah, I like that because it's it has.
You like the FX2? That may be the most controversial thing.
We'll get to gear. We'll get to gear. But yes, I do want to talk about the FX2 because it is in my radar. And I'll tell you why in a second. But I'm the person who's actually the 4K, it is 7K oversampled and stuff, and he's like, dude, I just want it to look nice. And so that's how our business relationship works.
No, that's amazing, and that's what it is. Like, a lot of people think, and that's why, again, coming back to what I believe in, is this a collaboration, because I don't think a person exists who can be super technical and super creative, but obviously I'm sure there's exceptions out there. But what we do is literally a mixture of science and art. And unless, like I said, both, you need to work with other people who are good in either or, because you not only need to know, like you said, from shutter angle to frame rates to ISO, and that's just talking the exposure triangle. There's so much more lighting, sound. We can get into codecs. I mean, it can go very, very deep. But then on the other side of it, there's the the frame lines, framing, I'm talking leading lines, so much, like there's art to it, to basically making it the framing and everything perfect to the story that you're trying to tell. Because at the end of the day, videos invoke emotion, whether that's even that, if that emotion is for making people want to buy a certain product or whatever, or service. At the end, there's still an emotion that you're invoking, and it is an art to do that. And then there's science behind it, and you got to be able to do both. So that's pretty good that you guys have a collaboration where one's more technical, one's more creative. Not saying that you're not creative. What I'm saying is just having that expertise where you're like, hey, I'm better at this, he's better at this. Together, we are better than, let's say, somebody who's doing both.
And that's why in our team, he's usually the one that does pre-production, to like, hey, what does the customer want? How do you think we're going to approach this? For example, we are bidding for a project of a travel agency, but a super high-end luxury travel agency. And we had a Zoom meeting with the customer the other day, and or potential customer. And he was the one who was actually like, well, we got this idea, that idea, yada yada yada, but I need that little push to start getting those creative juices flowing before mine kick in. You
Yeah.
see, I'm thinking more of like, well, we're gonna do 90 seconds to 3 minutes and this and that, and what's the platform that you're gonna use it on, and all that other stuff. He's the one that's like trying to the storytelling part of it and the creative part of it, and I think that this would probably work for you because you invoke this emotion and that emotion and this emotion and that's so far and so forth, which I can, but that's just not my strong point, right? So
no, absolutely, this is great. Also, so coming back to our gig together, so like I said, I wanted to rent a Pocket 3, and I put in the group. So you reached out, and you basically offered to come, right? So what basically was going in your head, and why'd you wanted to come and help out on the shoot?
right now, since we are in a new market, I'm more into meeting people. I just want to be part of get in the game, and and I love helping people out. As a matter of fact, when we were setting up for the podcast, like I was like, "Hey man, how are you gonna do this?" And let me help you with that. I get excited about this stuff, So then, you said something about a car, and I was like, "Oh yeah, buddy, let's do this." So I just said, let's go.
Which we're lucky. So not go too much into my client, but we are lucky to have a car manufacturer in Orlando because we're not in Detroit. It's not like there's Ford and GM out here. So most people who are, let's say, in Central Florida and they want to do car work, they have to travel, right? And we are lucky that we have a car company that's building cool cars from scratch, and that I've been working with them for a few years.
Stop.
Yeah.
Super cool cars.
Yes.
Keep going.
Yeah, collector cars. They don't make cars for everyday people. But what's crazy to me is they have an in-house videographer. Just to talk about, a lot of people go, oh, they have an in-house, so I can't find work. I'm saying some of my friends are like, well, they have in-house people, or they have an in-house team. I'm like, no, you still can partner with people. So even though they have in-house videographers, in-house editors, or whatever, the thing is, I am not a replacement for their in-house videographer or editor, right? That I would be too expensive for that, right? Even though I think I'm very cheap for what I offer, compared to an in-house, I'm an expensive option. But guess what? A company like that, they need bigger projects. They need car launches. They need to go to I don't know, news media or wherever where they don't want it to look like their everyday videographer, or the project that we're part of, where their in-house videographer wouldn't have the equipment or the skill or the expertise, because that takes a lot. Like, it took us a village to make it. They wouldn't have it, so that's where we can be their partner and we can come in and help them. So it's a win-win, because even though, like I said, they're a decent-sized car company, they're not afford. They can't afford the biggest and the baddest, but that doesn't mean their quality needs to suffer, especially when they're making cars that are like really, really high-end, high-quality cars.
Super awesome.
These are like, basically collectors buy these cars, right? Or people who are really passionate about it. So anyway, and that's what's unique about it. So just so you know, I don't normally bring just somebody I've never met to a shoot. But what's amazing is the timing could have been perfect, because I am not, even though I've seen the Pocket 3, I'm used to shooting with FX6s, FX3s on the low end, and higher end would be like Alexas or whatever. These are the cameras that I have my hands on, right? Like a mini LF. So I am not familiar with the Pocket 3 platform, though it seems fairly straightforward. I didn't want to risk it. So my original plan was to rent it and have Mario or somebody else on set like operate it. But then, as soon as you were like, hey, I would love to come, and I was like, you know what? I checked out your profile. I was like, this guy's awesome. I would love to meet you anyway, in general. I was like, let's skip the meeting part. Usually, that's how it happens. You meet people for coffee or whatever, you connect, you decide on a project to collaborate. I was like, you know what? We're skipping all that part. You sounded great on the phone. Like you said, I love the passion that you had. And I was like, how many opportunities like this are going to exist? Because like I said, I've been doing this 15 years. I've done enough car rigs. But it's not like every day I get call from a car company saying, let's go on the track. Let's test an unreleased mule car. So I'm like, I'm passionate about too, right? So it's not just about the money on this shoot. It's about we're doing something that we don't get to do every day. So essentially, at least on my end, I was like, let's skip the meeting part. You sound awesome. You know how to make the Pocket 3 work. This couldn't be perfect where we can go and capture, really good footage and get to network together. And you came in, and not only you came in, you brought your business partner, Alex, and it could have gone better. So we were a team of what, 5, I think?
5.
5, right? Yeah. So it was.
When you said FPV drone,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, yes, buddy, let's do this. Yeah.
Which I can't wait to talk to Calvin on this, who's our FPV pilot on a later episode. But that's the main thing, is because, again, I love FPV. Like, I'm a drone pilot myself, but, I do normal drone, your Mavics or Inspires or whatever. I don't do FPV, and I would love to, but I don't have the time to spend the hours in the simulator.
Correct.
And I worked with Andrew, who introduced me to Calvin. So the point is, I'm always looking to do it, but it doesn't fit, in all projects. Maybe like a factory tour or whatever, but it doesn't really fit in typical corporate and commercial work. So anytime I have that idea, and this client obviously wants that, they want their car. They're making cool cars. The video needs to look cool.
Yes.
Simple as that. So this was a perfect opportunity to put Pocket 3 in use, FPV in use, and also do it at a timeline that was short. Like, we were there half day. You spent I know we went over because they had some issues, and obviously it's a test car. So hour and a half each track. I would say about 3 hours total. Maybe add a lunch in there. So it was a very short shoot day for the amount of content we got. But yeah, I'm so glad you came. The shoot couldn't have gone amazing. But what's your perspective on it? Because like I said, it's a rare type of shoot in corporate world.
I will say this. Concerts for me are an adrenaline rush, and they're a different type of fun. Driving in the track and getting to film the car while we were moving, and that was so much fun.
Yeah.
So much fun. That is by far one of the most fun projects that we've done.
Yeah.
Just because it was something so different,
Exactly. And what's cool about it is that track, the second track that we're into, is a private track. You cannot even go in it unless you're a member. So for us to be literally taking your Bronco on it, it's so fun. I was like, how many Broncos have ever been on that track? Probably, I would guess none, but you never know, I'm sure. Because, as you saw, there was a bunch of Miatas and stuff. Like, people are bringing those type of cars, performance cars. I don't think typically a Bronco person will join that. Not that Bronco. I love Broncos. I'm saying it's not the track type of car. So I'm like, how many? You may have the only Bronco that's ever been on that track, and I had so much fun because we were chasing, obviously them or leading them and trying to just get some shots, and it was just such a fun experience with you, me, and Alex trying to track it with the Pocket 3. I've done
having one rig in the front and one rig at the back, and then telling the driver, like, okay, now you can pass us, and then now you're up. It was so cool.
Yeah,
so cool.
It's so fun. Plus, we're having FPV happen, so I think the overall, and Calvin was nice. He got us not only that, but BTS. Mario, you were on that shoot. What do you think?
I had an amazing day. I was mostly inside the car.
Yeah.
And it was crazy.
You were the mule in the mule car. Yeah. We threw in Mario, and he was not even at his best that day because he had a leg that was.
I was playing. I played soccer the day before, and I twisted my ankle. So I was like,
you were hobbling.
Yeah.
And we put you in a car that's unfinished. So was it too rough?
I mean, the guy that was driving, and then also the CEO, he was also Tom. He was also driving. They tried, when I was inside, they tried to do it more softly.
Yeah.
But when Tom, the CEO, was drifting, I almost threw up. I got dizzy.
You can tell these people are passionate about it. What I love about these clients is not only like I said, they make a really cool product. They make it for passionate people, but they actually love it. Like he wasn't doing there because even as soon as we were done rapping, if you remember, we were like, okay, we're out. And he's like, okay, I'm going to just take it. And he went for it, dude. That was not for cameras. So these people love it. They're passionate about it. And to have clients like that is just incredible to me because, you get to, like I said, access places. And you get to do shoots that are so much fun. And that's what I love about video production, because that it's so funny. We went from a corporate shoot before then, right, Mario? We were literally filming another CEO, and not that that was a bad shoot. It's just we're filming in a high end house. We're reading a script. It's a completely different feeling than going on a track where the CEO is like, I'm doing donuts and
Yep.
sketch.
Yep.
So I know I love what I do, and I'm like, I wouldn't trade it for a thing, because we get to do so much cool things. And I'm so glad you guys could be there and be part of that shoot, because it was quite an incredible shoot, I think. Yeah.
I had a smile from ear to ear the entire time, man. So, and here's the thing that I actually noticed. The customer that you were working with is so good to work with as far as like organization. They had their timing correctly. I know that whenever you ask them for all the branding stuff, like your RGB codes for colors and fonts and all that, they're like, yeah, we got that. And I'm like, God, I wish every customer was like this. So,
Yeah, and see, this is what I'm talking about. You have to find your clients, because at the end of the day, it's a collaboration. Again, even with the client, it's just like working with another videographer. You are, at the end of the day, all trying to achieve the same goal, right? If they're bringing me, right, I am the expert to get them that content that will help their brand. We're all working towards the same thing, because it's not like they want something different, right? They want to promote their vehicles, which are awesome. They want to share this with even people who are not going to buy the vehicle, because we get it. It's a certain audience who this vehicle is for. That doesn't mean I am not passionate about it. Can I afford one of their cars? Probably not. But do I love and feel passionate about what they do, their work, and the time of effort they put? Absolutely. Do I want to watch these videos? Absolutely. So why am I not gonna make the content that I want to watch? I hope that makes sense. Or their fan base, their customers, their clients want to watch. So we have to be aligned. A lot of, I feel, the filmmakers that complain about clients, and I'm not saying that the clients from hell don't exist. Yes, they do. But I'm saying, usually, if you have to align with the client, right? And because you're all on the same goal. Usually, I'm saying the people who do are they straight go to the videographer mode. They listen, hey, what do you need? We need a promo video. Okay, straight. So we're gonna need this camera, this lighting, this, that, and that's it. They're just running with the first bit of information you get. I usually am like, do the opposite. Like, they call me and they were like, okay, we want to make these series of videos for this car. And I'm like, okay, sounds awesome. Right? I'm like, okay, so where are the videos going to be posted? Right? Why are they going to be posted? Who's going to watch them? Right? You have to ask these questions. I could straight go, and I know I get it. Like, if you're not doing that well, let's say financially or whatever, you immediately want to just jump into it. But that's the wrong approach. Not only are they going to see through you, you're going to most likely not get the client. And if you, let's say for some reason you do, they're not going to be happy because you didn't bother to get the rest of the information. I find the clients are happier because they're like, oh, yeah, who's going to watch it? Either they know, like I said, this client, or even if they don't, that makes them then sit down and question, yeah, who are we going to show it to? Why are we going to show it? What's our purpose? And that actually helps you or any of the videographers.
who's your target audience?
Yeah. You make better product, and then everyone wins. Because and then we're doing this because we love it.
So, in something I wanted to touch something on that you just said about having their in-house videographer and how can we complement this stuff. And I'll give you my personal experience on that. When I started this 2 years ago, I was working with restaurants doing their monthly content for social media. Started to working with a soccer school doing again content for social media and whatnot. And then I realized real quick that is not who I am. But
Yeah.
I am not the person who's gonna create give you a package of 15 reels or this and that. That's just not who I am.
Yeah.
Right. But then other customers had their in-house media person who was not a videographer. Is more like, hey, I get the phone and record something for the Instagram stories and whatnot. But then they started calling me when they needed some high-end production, as far as like, I remember this guy has a company of 14 taco trucks, and then he has a bakery shop, and then not only that, he has a stand in the FedEx Forum,
Mhm.
which is where the NBA, the Memphis Grizzlies play. And then he has a high-end Mexican restaurant as well, right? So whenever it was just social media, quick social media content, it was Taco Tuesday or whatever, their media
Mhm.
person did it. But when they wanted to do the promos for what was coming up in the month, and those were gonna boost them in Instagram or Facebook or
Mhm.
whatnot or whatever, that's when I came in.
Mhm.
So it was, there's so much true of what you're saying that you don't have to quote unquote fight the in-house videographer,
Yeah.
but you're just a different market. You know, you're
Exactly.
different. It's a different type of thing,
Yeah.
because I don't want to sound rude or anything, but I'm not moving my $7,000 camera to go shoot a 30-second Instagram reel in a food
Yeah.
truck. That it's just that
And
this
it's
is
not the
not
right tool, right?
right.
That's the
Correct.
end of the thing.
Correct.
What I think the other thing, and this is more. I think when you're starting out, move, you think somehow camera value relates straight to what you can charge, right? This is an amateur thing, and I don't blame anyone for thinking that. So if somebody's listening and they think that, that's okay, because you're just not informed yet. Because the thing is, I have clients who will pay lot of money. I'm talking 10 grand and up to do an iPhone shoot, right? It's not about the camera. The cameras don't matter. And most clients that have budgets, they want to shoot on Alexa Minis or Mini LFs or Red, whatever, Raptors, whatever, high end cameras. I'm saying they generally have the budget to rent it. They know what this costs, right? Either they're not asking for a camera, right? If they either just say, I want this done, and you get to pick the camera. Or if they want a specific camera, they literally know what it costs, and that's part of the budget. You just rent it out. I don't know why people get so fixated on cameras. That's like the least of our
If
worry.
if
Yeah.
the customer actually knows what the camera is, be careful, because they know what they're talking about. So
Yeah.
a lot of times when I show up on set with all the gear that we got, that same gear that you have here,
Yeah.
people would just look at the FX6 and go like, "Whoa, that's a fancy
Yeah.
camera," yeah. And that's
Exactly.
all they know.
Or you can go 20 years and buy one of those big tape cameras, and they'll think the same thing because they don't know any better, right?
Correct.
I think the thing that as a business side, at least we need to learn, as simple as, or you are paid for your skills, right? We are paid because we're experts and we're there to solve a problem, whatever that problem is. That is, hey, we're throwing this amazing event. We need to show other people how awesome this event was. Or it could be, hey, we're trying to recruit new clients or customers, or we're trying to recruit new employees, or it could be we're trying to train, our students or our employees or whatever, right? Whatever the agenda is. And we're there to solve that problem. I think we're not there to showcase a certain camera. And I think that's just a fixation, like you said, people get like, I have this camera, I'll go buy it and I'll somehow have work, right? My entire thing is like cameras don't matter unless it matters. And when it does matter, you can just charge them to rent that camera.
Right.
So never hold back from applying to any job, because I've heard from some people who are like, "Hey, I want to apply the job, but they wanted to have this certain camera, and I didn't know how, I didn't have that camera." I'm like, "But then why wouldn't you rent it? Like, find out who has it in your market or online or wherever you can rent it the cheapest, and that just add that to your budget as the equipment fee." And most of these high-end cameras have simulators that you can go on their website and you can play with the menus. You can basically learn everything about it without ever having to touch the camera. Obviously, I'm not saying lie. If you don't know how to operate a certain camera, then don't take the gig. But it doesn't take
Right.
much to learn these cameras. They're all the same,
Mhm.
Most of the time, you just have to understand their little nuance of where goes what, which is easy to learn. At the end of the day, operating camera is one of the easiest things, as long as you understand the basics and the fundamentals of operating a camera. There's no difference between an iPhone in manual mode with the Blackmagic app or any other, phone app where, you're selecting ISO,
Mhm.
frame rate to, I don't know, a Venice 2 or whatever,
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, ISO is still ISO.
Yeah.
You know,
Shutter speed, shutter angle,
yeah,
you
right.
know, whatever it is. It's
At the end of the day, the exposure triangle is still the exposure triangle.
And I'm not saying equipment doesn't matter, because equipment does matter. The shoot that we just were talking about, Pocket 3s were the right camera for that. Don't you agree with me?
Yeah.
Can you imagine had I tried in the time that we had, because you were there, you know the time we had. Is there any way I could have mounted an FX3 or FX6 to it?
See, I don't even think that for there was a specific shot that the customer was asking for, which was, you know, for the
Showing the
shocks, you know, for
suspension,
the
yeah.
the suspension. I don't think you could have done that with any of these. You know,
Yeah,
these
exactly,
cameras,
right?
you know,
So
like-
there's a tool and a place for the job. A lot of people also think that has to be expensive, right? Yes, I'm a gearhead. I own a ton of gear, probably more than anyone I know, but that does not mean the gear is there for show, right? Anything I own or buy is there for because it's needed in the business. And for that job, and usually, by the way, I know you haven't worked with, but normally I bring everything. You don't have to bring anything. That was one of the rare instances for me where I didn't own what I needed to use. And the thing is, the Pocket 3s were the perfect camera for the job. And you were the perfect operator to be at the job because you know the camera. You know the ins and out. You have the app. You know the limitations. You know how to do the tracking or whatever. The cost, and again, Pocket 3 isn't cheap. It's like $800. But compared to, let's say, FX6s that we have all over here, it's cheap, right? What I'm saying is it's relative. But for that job, that was the requirement, right? So it doesn't matter if somebody's like, hey, I've got my Alexa package here. They wouldn't have been hired because it's not the right tool.
It's not the right tool for the job.
Yeah,
correct.
exactly, right? So that's also, I think, the thing is, and by the way, I'm surprised. So just so you know, I love my cameras. I'm obviously a little bit of snobbish when it comes to look, but I was really impressed with the size of the camera, how easy it is to use it, how great the footage looked. I think the footage came out incredible from those cameras, and that makes me not want to buy one. I have never thought about ever buying a Pocket 3, but after that shoot, I'm like, I see a lot of places where I could deploy it. Now, is it going to replace any of the gear I have?
No, not at all.
Not at all. But can I supplement the Pocket 3 in certain situations? Absolutely. And I'm so glad we did that shoot, because now that I have a real footage, I was like, wow. Like,
It looks really
yeah, it looks really good.
really good.
Now, yeah.
And it's like silky butter of like stabilized, amazing. It looks really good.
And I think the light helped too. So a lot of these latest gen sensors, you know, they're all really good. And that has an one-inch sensor, but like they all want light. So because we were filming outdoors, there's plenty of light. So I think they all look good, but I was just pleasantly surprised how good an 1-inch sensor now even looks. So hats off to DJI. They are, whatever they're doing, it's clearly working. I don't think, again, tomorrow it replaces an FX6, but I can't wait to see what happens in 10 years, what happens in 20 years.
Well, the rumors are that they're coming up with the mirrorless camera. So,
Yeah.
well, didn't they just come? They just released the DJI 4D, the one with the gooseneck and
Yeah,
stuff?
I have one. So I have
really?
an 8K. So I'm excited to play with it. So I can't wait to show you. So yeah, it's incredible camera. Now, I mean, to be real, it's been out for 3 years, but the 8K came out last year. So for some reason, yeah, they had the 6K. I wanted to get it, but it had some moire issues. So essentially, you know, if you wear like a pattern shirt, some cameras have it. It was some issues, and it doesn't have an OLPF, whatever. Point is, I saw it. I even had Anthony hired on a gig just because he had a Ronin. See, again, gear sometimes will get you a job. I was like, hey, this is an event shoot. We can use it. You have a 4D plus. I want to work with you. Let's just do it. And like I said, the footage was great, but the moire issue or more, whatever, however people say it, it was too much. You know, so if anywhere there's like a thin pattern, shirts, screens, it just wasn't good. Point is that the last year they released an 8K that has an OLPF on it, so it doesn't have that issue. Plus, 8's a better sensor in general, but they doubled the price. So you pay literally double for just a sensor upgrade. So it's not like the parts are new, anything else is different. It's the exact same camera. So for a while I was debating buying it, but finally pulled the trigger. But yeah, it's an incredible camera, but it's not for every job. But you're right. They're already. It's being used in I think Adolescence. I think is the show called. Have you seen that? It's going
No,
viral. Right?
I've never.
Okay,
but-
so I haven't seen the actual show. I've seen the making of it, and it went viral because it was done like one shot, and it's using the Ronin 8K. They also I know use the 6K version in Civil War. So people are using unconventional cameras in Hollywood, and not that Hollywood matters for what I do. At least I'm not trying to be Hollywood. I know a lot of people think of commercial and this filmmaking as a step to Hollywood. At least for me, I love what I do. I wouldn't trade it. I'm not trying to get to Hollywood. I love what I do. And for us, these tools are incredibly useful. But to just see the tools that we use on a daily basis now being adopted by people where equipment's not even a factor. Like I doubt any Hollywood movie, because they're renting everything, budget of equipment is even that much a factor. I'm pretty sure a techno crane costs more than any camera they're renting. So I'm saying they're not factoring in the rental cost of a Ronin or a
Right.
FX3 or FX6 in there. So for them to be deploying these cameras in Hollywood productions is pretty cool to see how far camera technology has come, where these cameras are so good that they can be used in an IMAX movie or whatever, right? Because Creator was released on IMAX too, right? Yeah.
But
Which
it
is
was all
crazy,
shot.
yeah.
It was shot on all FX3s.
Yeah, exactly. And so camera doesn't matter. Again, coming back to yes, gear matters, but the right gear for the right job matters. So if your job is capturing social reels and a Pocket 3 or a FX3 or a Panasonic something or whatever camera you need is the right fit for the job, then that's the better equipment, not just something because that's the known brand or whatever, right? That to me is the more important factor. What you're doing, what's the right tool for the job, you have to have it. Not having the right tool for the job is a factor, but just having the most expensive camera and it not being the right tool is not better,
Right.
Yeah, to get any other job. So so coming back to equipment, FX2. So Sony
Yes.
announced FX2 camera launching, I think mid-August, something like that.
Right.
Obviously, I don't think anyone typically thought of it. It's basically an A7 IV
Correct. Which
in
is
an
what I like.
FX3 body with a fan and an EVF stuck onto it.
Okay, so here's the thing. I have an A7 IV.
Yeah.
Love the camera.
Mm.
I love the footage that comes out of it. That image when it's not in 60p, the 24 and the 30p, it's butter.
Yeah, 'cause it's
I
7K
love it. It's
oversampled, right? Yeah.
And I love the sharpness of it and everything. Now I gave it to my wife. The two bodies that I use on a daily basis are a Sony CVE one that I use for like when we
For
were out there
BTS,
for
right? Yeah.
BTS, small things when I do like a shoot at a restaurant, something that is not, something quick, easy and done. I take out the CVE one and then I have the FX3. The FX6 comes out on rare occasions when I do interviews, things like that. That's when that comes out. But I don't have a photography camera anymore, and I do need photography sometimes for concerts, for example. I would that is the tool that I would use if we were filming a concert. I don't need the 12,800 most of the time because usually the artist is pretty well lit, right? As a matter of fact, a lot
They're
of the
overly
times,
lit.
as a matter of fact, a lot of times I'm working in F14 and F14, 15 because like they are like blown up. And I like the ability of having a video first because I'm a videographer first. I do photography for fun. I do like doing food photography. That I do like. And I want to have a camera that is video first, but also has the capability of shooting stills. And that's what I like about it. So
I'll tell you a secret. I'm gonna buy one. Here's I'll tell you. Okay, this is like I said. I completely get it. Yes, on the Sony's part, what people need. Here's the thing: the FX3 and FX6s are 3, 4, 5 years old now. They're old cameras, right? but their cameras have become industry standard. Literally, I'm not even a Sony. I don't like Sony cameras personally, even now, even though they make me so much money as a user, I don't want to operate their cameras because I don't know. I just don't like them. Point is, I own all the Sony cameras because that's what the demand is. If I'm doing my own projects, nobody cares. I can bring Sony cameras because clients don't care, right? As long as they get good quality. But when they do care, right? When my friends call on me to DP their project or whatever, they need gear, or some random production agency comes here and they just need help or whatever, it's always Sony. I have never heard of, I think once in my entire time, they ever asked for a Canon camera, and they've never asked for Blackmagic. They've never asked for Panasonic. It's always either we don't care or we want Sony, right? So these cameras make me a ton of money, which is why I own them, and hence why I don't think why people are disappointed, because Sony has no reason to replace them. They're still the industry standard. They're still working. Yes, there's things they could improve them. I would like to get new versions with some things that I'm like,
give me open gate, please.
Yeah. Exactly. But who knows? When is Sony going to ever add open gate? Who knows? But the end of it is, yes, it's a very useful feature, especially if you're doing both, horizontal and vertical video together. But at the end of the day, these cameras are industry standard. They're working. There's demand. There's no reason for them to replace. So what they did on Sony's part, I think it is a lazy move, which is why people are unhappy.
Yes.
They literally took a camera and a very old camera at that, 4 or 5 years, right? Again, it's for A7 IV. And they replaced the biggest flaw in it, in my opinion, which was overheating. Which made A7 IV kind of useless in real world settings where you had to record for hours. Not for vlogging people, but anyway. And hence, FX2, which is why they're not calling it FX3 Mark II, FX4, whatever.
So I will give you a little bit of this, okay? I do have this ZVE1, which has all the enhanced autofocus and all that, and I can tell you with experience, owning a ZVE1 and owning an FX3, the autofocus is just that much better.
Yeah,
like it is insane good. When we were in the track, I set up the autofocus for cars and train. It has a mode that you can set it for cars, and I did not miss a single shot, and it was all in tack sharp focus, which the FX3 doesn't have.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So
it only has people and I think animals.
Correct.
Whatever, right?
And I can tell you another thing is sometimes when on the FX3, when people turn around, right, sometimes you lose the autofocus. It starts hunting. That doesn't happen with the ZVE1. And they're the same sensor.
Yeah.
And that's why I am getting the FX2.
And I'll tell you why I'm getting it. So for me, here's the main reason. Yes, I think Sony's lazy, but here's why I'm still going to buy one. Simply is because the lineup, right? Here's what I use. Again, I make my decision based on what pays the bills, not what I like.
Right.
And the truth is, here's what pays the bill. High-end projects, I like to use mini LF, maybe sometimes a 35 or a mini, depending on. But those are client-requested cameras. I'm not picking them. They're paying for the rental. I don't need to own them. And the stuff that I own for middle level, it's going to be a Bronco. And then for mid to small level, it's going to be 2 FX6s, 2 FX3s, and an FX2. Because just like you, clients expect us to do, on corporate filmmaking, headshots and basic photos. Now, yes, do I full-time do photography? No. If we need anything more, and they expect us to do both. I was going to tell people, if somebody comes to you for event and corporate videography and they ask you to do both photo and video, the answer is yes. If you're a photographer and you don't want to do video, just bring in your videographer friend and partner it together. Or the reverse. The reason is clients just don't want to hassle of hiring 2 different vendors. They prefer to have one. And so usually what I'll do is if they need extensive photography, I've got friends lined up. Let's put money in their pocket. Come do photography for me. But most of the time, all they're looking for in our projects is headshots or some basic shots. And I can do those, right? Not that I'm a photographer, but headshots are not hard, dude. Our scenes are already well lit. But the thing is, currently I've been doing those with FX3, and their 12 megapixels just not enough. So this is where I think FX2 will come for me.
Correct.
Where it's like, hey, it can be a B, C, D, E, F, whatever camera for me on a shoot, where it can play with the others, all the Sony cameras that I own. As you see, also Ronin 8K is going to be part of that lineup that I have for this year and going forward. until I'm sure something new comes out. But that's where I will buy Lone FX2 because it'll fit in as just another B-roll camera. It'll play well, like you said. Sure, it's an older sensor, still looks good. But then as soon as we need photo, flip it to photo, and we could quickly start getting some headshots or whatever.
So for me personally, whenever we're doing events, live events, concerts, I'm mostly doing videos. But my God, sometimes you get that opportunity that is just picture perfect for a still.
Yeah.
And we do deliver stills for the customers too. And just concert photography is just so awesome. You know? So I do need a camera that I can quickly go from one mode to the other because things happen super fast in a concert.
Yeah,
you know? So,
exactly. Makes sense. You know, I completely get why you'd want it. Because to be honest, I thought the R5C was going to be that for me. So a few years ago, I was in the Canon ecosystem, and I thought the R5C was the holy camera. I had like C200, C70s, and I thought, oh, wow, this can perfectly come in as that hybrid because it had literal menu change, right? You get cinema menu, full log, C-Log 2, I think, or whatever, C-Log 3, whatever. It had log. Proper menu from like the C70, but then you go to photo mode and you get just like any other Canon photo camera, but it did not work. I've never gotten rid of cameras that fast. I wasn't a fan of the R5C. I'm sure some people like it, but I do think this one may be a home run because of the way I've seen the layout, and then them more leaning towards the FX3 style. Because like you said, we do video first and then photo second, but we do sometimes need to do photo. And I think that's where the camera is perfect. And now it's the reverse. Because people are like, then what about the reverse? And that camera already exists, A7 IV. If you do photo first and video second, just buy a used one. They're so cheap now. I think it makes sense. Even though it's a lazy attempt, I'll give it to the haters. But I think for people like you and me, I think it's not a bad camera. And it's priced really low too, $2,800. I can probably call my dealers, probably pick it up for 26, I'm thinking. Something like that. And I think that's going to be 27, right? Mario, what's the price on an FX2? Can you check B&H?
It's
But
2700.
It's 27.
2700. So yeah,
Right
so
here.
Yeah.
look at that.
Look.
So we could probably get it for say like I basically buy enough gear that I have reps at some of these retailers, so I could call and probably get $100 off. It's not going to be a lot for a brand new camera, but so I'm saying for that, I think it's worth it just to add it in the lineup for, like you said, those social media reel videos, for the videos where we need to do photo but also capture B-roll, and just in addition to the team, at least for my production company, it fits. Is he going to be my A cam? No. And as you saw in the lineup, that was what? A Bronco, 2 FX3s, 2 FX6s, an FX, a Ronin 8K, and then comes the FX2. So it's not like I've got 6 other cameras to pick from before I pick that. So it's not like my only camera, but for somebody who is just doing that type of shoots, that's way better than any of these other tools. So yeah.
Because I'll tell you this, we tried doing concerts with the FX6, and even though that it's designed for handheld shooting or whatever, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
It was too big, too bulky. When you're trying to move in between crowds and everything, I need it to be light and quick, and that's why I said that for me personally, that would be an amazing tool.
Yeah.
Besides, I would love to use it on an interview or two on the tight shot when you put a 90 mil or an 85 millimeter prime on it. I bet you that image is gonna look sensational.
I can't wait to compare. That'd be a good comparison. Once I get my hands on one, which is not that far away, I would love to do a test about. I'm gonna acquire one. But to be honest, we can do that test now because it's not like A7 IV doesn't exist.
Right.
You don't have to do much. You just put your FX6 next to your A7 IV, and you'll kind of know what the image will look like. Because from my understanding is they did tune the color a little bit.
Yes.
It's not totally different. It's just the look change to match with the other cameras. So it may not be 100%, I'm saying, to your A7 IV, but it'll be very close to that. Right?
And not only that, they up the second or the high base ISO from 3200 to 4000.
Yeah.
So hey, I'll take it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a massive change, but it's not 12,800, but I'll take it.
Yeah, they probably can do 12,800 on that just because you know how many
Yeah, the
megapixel it is.
megapixels. Yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, I don't have such a high megapixel camera. Didn't think I would need one, but if it's right, I am gonna acquire one. Hopefully, it's not a bad purchase. But so far, I've been very happy. All my Sony cameras have paid long time ago. Best decision ever. Like I said, doesn't my personal feelings side, they're good for business. And even to this day, I even had a buddy now. He was like, "Hey, I want to buy a couple cameras, you know, upgrade my production, his production to FX6." And I was like, "Normally, I'm for don't buy equipment because it's not a good investment because you can rent it,
Right.
especially if you don't use it every day." But FX6 is one of those cameras. I was like, "Yes, you know, you still are in favor of getting one and getting your money back because again, it's one thing you're doing it as a passion thing." But it's another thing when you're doing it's business, right? It's a business decision. And I think an FX6 is still a good business decision because there's demand for it. You can still fit into a reality show, again, corporate work, and get your money back pretty quick. I had a buddy buy one last year, and I think within 1 or 2 gigs, he had his money back. So as long as you're smart about the projects, you don't just buy the camera thinking you'll get the gigs. That's a wrong mindset. But if you already have the gigs, it'll pay for itself
Yes.
because it is the right tool, like you said, in certain scenarios where it's interviews, where it's that corporate stuff.
See,
Or-
this is the perfect scenario for
exactly.
it. Like,
Or you're fitting into certain productions where they're like, "Hey, we need a cam up on a reality show. We need an FX6 operator." You just fit right in there, right? You
Right.
bring your camera, you go in, you talk, you follow some housewife, right? You get your paycheck, you go.
Right.
Just joking, but you know, there's enough of that work out there. People love reality shows nowadays, and all those have mostly moved to FX6s and FX3 for their crash cams. That's basically it.
And I will say this: the reason why the FX6 for me is my least used camera is, the codec. A lot of times I just want something quick, MP4, be done with it, and not have the MXF,
Yeah,
codec,
uh-huh.
which looks super clean and I love it, but it's heavy. It requires a lot more than
Yeah.
MP4. That's
Exactly,
part of
and I
it.
can't wait to have David back on the podcast. So he was talking about the same thing. So he's a retainer client. It's just not the right tool. He owns an FX6, but if your client doesn't want to deal with MXF files, he's having to transcode them. That's another step that he doesn't need to with an FX3. Plus, the client doesn't care that you have an FX6. So an FX3, FX2, A7S3, whatever, any of these cameras that can do, good footage, log, Cinetone, whatever he's using with the MP4 codecs is just better. Now, again, some things, talking about flaws with the cameras, I don't get why this camera can't have HEVC, like the codecs, I think H.265 codecs that the FX3 has, right? FX30 has it. Clearly, an FX6 should be able to, but this is the type of gatekeeping these companies do. My Ronin too, 8K. Why it can do MP4 H.264? Why can't I do H.265 HEVC? Like that would save me so much space.
Right.
But it's just not an option, and these companies don't want to add it. Why? I don't know.
See, to me, the big thing with the open gate stuff is that if you are marketing something for beginning filmmakers, you're in a world where you need vertical video. That's just a fact, man.
Yeah.
And if you can just frame and reframe, or the camera is made for use horizontally, right? And if you can just go ahead and do one shot and just crop, why not? You have the sensor,
or maybe Sony will come up with, or any company. Have you thought about what if the whole sensor could rotate? Wouldn't that be fun? I mean, I get that open gate is an easier fix because you can do both. But I'm saying the other thing would be, the whole lens and sensor rotates on a cinema camera. But technically on a mirrorless, you could just rotate the camera too.
Right.
But I'm taking even a bigger camera because the thing is, yes, I didn't like vertical video in the past, but right now I'm like, that is more and more prevalent. A lot and more clients want it. And it may not be the whole project because I have projects where it's like, hey, we're doing this video for the website, which is, normal, and this video for cut here. But then here's 5 videos we're doing to go social media. And you're right, that's where an open gate would be a good fit because we can pull out both.
I'll
right?
give you a scenario that it happens to us, in the concert world.
Mm.
So the producer or the production company, they want stuff to send out to the TV channels, right, for their news, morning news and all that stuff. So that obviously has to go horizontal, but then they also want vertical content for social media, right? And I know you can, shoot horizontal and frame and all
Yeah.
that stuff. I'm the type of person who, if I'm going to do vertical, I'm doing vertical because I
Mhm.
want the whole resolution of the thing of the sensor to be in frame.
Yeah.
And that is a use case that I wish that we had open gate because
Why aren't you switching to Panasonic? They're willing to give you
well, yeah,
open
they're
gate,
willing to give you open gate and all that stuff, but I have $10,000 worth of lenses. What am I gonna do with the lenses? And then I have my favorite
biggest
lens.
mistake. And again, I'm sure there was some technical thing that caught is the flange distance. L mount. Why did they have to pick 20 millimeters? Nikon, not a fan of them in general, but I think they did the smart move because their Z mount has a lower, I think it's 16 millimeters. I could be wrong on this, Mario. If you want to check, doesn't matter. I think, and then, so Sony E mount, I believe, is 18 millimeters. And so that what made the Z mount awesome is you can buy the Z mount, but you can put E mount glass on it. So you can now, you can switch to Nikon without having to switch all your glass because you're right. Glass costs more than cameras. And Panasonic, by going with L mount, and I know they're a member of the L mount alliance, it sucks for them because their cameras can be awesome. But like you said, to switch to them, you would have to freaking change your entire lens lineup because of that couple extra millimeters, you cannot mount your E glass or convert it to go on L
Correct.
mount cameras.
Yeah, just right. You're right. People is 16. For,
There you go. And
Yeah, right
that's what I'm
here.
talking about.
16.
So yeah, so L mount cameras can adapt E mount glass, which is the problem for me wanting to switch. To be real, I like Panasonic cameras. I own GH4, GH5s. Great cameras, made me a lot of money back in the day, and I'm sure they're back. I'm happy for them because I really like those cameras. I hated leaving them to go back to Canon,
Mhm.
and I think they're popular right now because people like what they're doing. But until they do something like, again, what my Ronin 4D has, because even though DJI is part of the L mount alliance, same thing. The L mount detaches and an E mount goes on it, so I can use my E mount glass on the 4D, which you cannot do that on the Panasonics because the L mount is built in. So unless if they can do something like that, and I'm sure selling glass is part of the business plan. But yeah, I totally agree with you. If they made it easier to switch, you would.
It's not about the body. I would love to shoot on or at least try the S12, the Lumix S12 that just came out, but it's not feasible for me because I would have to change 5 lenses that I have on my day-to-day case, in my actual case, and that's not including if I have 100 to 400, if I want to do telephoto or anything like that, which I don't have. But I would have to change, for me personally, without including Alex and without including my wife, it's 16 to 35, 24 to 70, a 51.4. I would have to have a 70 to 200, and then I would have to change a 35 to 150. Those are 5 lenses that I own. Those are my personal ones.
Yeah, you need
right?
the Trinity and then the couple extra that you
Right,
like. Yeah, I totally get it. No, that to me is valid, and the same thing. My entire thing is, yes, right now trending thing is to talk about the new Pixis 12K, the Sony, the Panasonic cameras because they're making the good bodies. I totally agree. The sensor on the 12K looks amazing, and you can get it with the PL mount, the L mount, all the cool stuff, right? But same thing. I'm just like, I cannot commit to this because I don't know the demand. I have done that in the past where I bought a V Raptor, I bought a Helium or whatever, because people wanted to hear the word red in the past. There was no demand for it unless you were doing music videos, and I don't want to do music videos because there's no money in it. And plus, it's even though they're fun, like it is a business at the end of the day. Why would my company choose to do that stuff that doesn't pay well? And plus, it's not not some music videos are fun, but a lot of them were boring too because it's like you're doing the 3-4 things, and they're just cutting it. It wasn't like creative element in there that I enjoy, where the storytelling and everything. point is, yeah, I don't care if these are trending until some company calls me. One of my partner agencies calls me and says, "Hey, we won the 12K." I'll be the first guy to rent it or buy it, whatever. But until somebody pays me money to use one of the cameras, it's just a YouTuber thing, right? And that's why I'm like, listen, this is, I am a working professional. I make my money from making videos. I make $0 from this podcast, right? Or YouTube or whatever as of right now. The goal is to go, make videos for clients. So I'm not paid by any company to talk good or bad about any camera. And to be honest, I am not married to one either. But the truth is, anyway, I agree with you. Our lenses, our glass, our ecosystem is, and demand is more important than a trending camera, if that makes sense.
Well, if I were to change some time at any point in time, I would go Blackmagic.
Yeah.
And that's because I'm a Blackmagic fan. I edit in DaVinci Resolve. And that codec, the Blackmagic RAW, and the colors of the Blackmagic cameras are just so nice.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, we're using that for this podcast right now. Our podcast is being switched on a Blackmagic equipment. I love Blackmagic design as a company. I was the first one when they announced the ATEM G2. I'm like, buy, like pre-order.
Yep.
We want one. I think as a company, they're amazing. Resolve is awesome. Just like, DJI, they're innovating is in the industry. But like I said, my thing with that is Pixel 12K looks incredible. I love the sensor on it. It just looks incredible. But as a filmmaker, I like the camera. I'm like, ooh, intriguing. I want to try it, and I probably will. But will I buy one? Probably not. Will I switch to one? Probably not. And simply because I currently do not foresee it replacing FX6s and FX3s in the market, but because of the same thing, because the flange, just the L mount. It does have PL mount, but I still don't think it's gonna just be replacing the industry standard. And until I hear somebody say, "Hey, we want you for a project. We need you to have the Blackmagic 12K," it's not gonna happen. Unfortunately, that's just the world we live in. Right?
So I owned a 6K Pro. And I absolutely love that camera, but it's not for everything. So it's hard when you're, it's hard. Manual focusing is hard, especially when you're doing fast action stuff, for like soccer, sports or whatever. That's just not the right tool for that. But it plays so nicely with DaVinci Resolve, and again, just color grading that footage when you get the
it's coming. Blackmagic RAW is coming to the FX6 and I think even FX3. I could be wrong on the FX3, but it's definitely coming to FX6. How do you feel about that? Them opening up. I was surprised when that announcement was made. You need to have a Blackmagic Video Assist, obviously, to go into it whenever they release it. I think it's supposed to be next year, so it's a long time. Hey, that's crazy to me to announce a feature that early. But again, I don't shoot in RAW because, again, demand isn't there. I don't have anyone asking me to provide RAW. But if they did, I would happily record. But that is kind of cool to know that we will be able to do that.
I will say this. The cool thing about working with Blackmagic RAW is that you can change parameters like ISO and things like that in post-production, right? And then when you're color grading the footage, the image doesn't break that easy. Sony breaks quite easily, to be honest with you. And you can push that Blackmagic RAW codec to really high, and it'll look sharp and so nice.
Yeah,
and that's what I like about it.
That's the thing I like about Red cameras. Not to be too mean to them, like I said earlier. I do like, they have a similar. I don't know if have you shot on Red before?
No.
Okay, so they have the similar thing. It's called the traffic light system. Essentially, it's like RGB parameters. Essentially, as long as you're not peaking on any of those, you basically have all the sensor data, and you can go back and onto post, and then you can manipulate anything, change the footage, anything. But this is kind of like I'm for both. I'm not like old school, like where you have to do it. But the truth being is, do you really need it? Unless you're doing run and gun, where you can make mistakes. Like you're doing. I get it for concerts. You're moving fast. high chance sometimes, you're gonna not be the right white balance or ISO. But truth being told, for what we do, like
It's inexcusable.
I'm like, why am I, if I'm doing interviews in B-roll, why is it not going to be in correct settings, right? Why do I even ever need RAW? Because I am looking at the monitor. If I'm directing or producing, I am looking at the production monitor like we have here, and I am making sure the footage looks good. We're not rolling until it looks good. Or speaking of it, I'm DPing for other people or even for myself, then I'm looking at my camera to make sure it's exposed right. Point is, I would never need RAW because the footage is always exposed how we want it to expose. RAW would not add anything else but extra bit depth and colors, which is nice. But again, it's not necessary. And again, no agency that I know of, and I do pretty good work outside of, again, I'm not talking RE where I've had, we've had to record an RE RAW. I'm talking mid to low level gigs where you're using up to an FX6. I've never had an agency go, we need to record in RAW. So it's like, it's unnecessary, but it's good to know that at least that option will be available on a Sony camera, that you don't have to go buy a new camera, as long as you buy a video assist, I guess, from Blackmagic.
Well, for me, again, some of the tools that I would love to see on a Sony camera would be false color. I use that all the time. I mean, it is an essential way for me to expose, especially like when you said, when you're in full control of your exposure on your set, you control the lighting, especially for interviews and everything. Like false color to me is the way to go, and you don't have it in Sony cameras natively, and that's why initially I bought a 6K, Blackmagic 6K Pro, because it has natively has false color and everything. But then owning a Blackmagic camera to me was had brought other issues that I could solve with an external monitor and an FX3. But I don't always want to rig the FX3, or I don't always want to rig out my my Sony cameras. I sometimes I want to go as light as I can. So,
which, talk about false color. Have you heard of L-Zone?
No.
So if you own a small HD monitor, the only thing I don't like about the L-Zone system, it's only available in a limited devices. So it works on my Cine 7. So I can only use it with my primary A camera because I only own one or two of those because they're very expensive. But point is, I love the L-Zone system. So it's like false color. It's really cool. You send the log data basically to the monitor, and then you can apply conversion light if you want there. But it basically represents like the image like the false color, but in stops of light. It makes dude, you gotta go watch some videos about the L-Zone system. It is so incredibly easy to use. I'm talking very easy. Like you in extra stops. Like not only are you overexposing, but by how many stops. So essentially they've remapped the false color zone. I can tell you, instead of like having IRE values as what you're looking at stops. And to me, and I hope I'm explaining it correctly, it's like the next level of false color, and it's incredible. And I wish all cameras have it. The only thing I don't like for my image pipeline personally, I prefer to send out my conversion line directly from the camera, and that may just be a personal preference. I don't want to apply anything on the monitor level because a lot of time we're doing multi-view, so I may have different conversion LUTs. FX3 is not 100% the same as FX6, so you need a slightly tweaked, I'm saying, conversion LUT to show to a client, because otherwise they're going to be like, why is this slightly green? Why is this slightly magenta, right? So point is, if I just went into a straight monitor and applied a conversion LUT, which you have to for L-Zone, that's the only negative, the values wouldn't look perfect, I'm saying, in a multi-camera mode. Versus if I send it from camera, the image looks good on all cameras, but then if I do L-Zone, it won't work because it needs log footage, right? If that makes any sense. So that's the only negative that I found with it, that if I'm doing multi-camera, which is most of the time, it makes it really hard to use L-Zone because I'm applying that conversion LUT, whatever I'm using to see on all the cameras, and then it's not showing me the way I want to look at it, if that makes any sense.
Yes,
but I would highly
does.
recommend looking into that. It's really cool. You do need a small HD monitor for it, but man, talk about being able to expose correctly. Like there's no debating how many stops, below or down or whatever you're looking at. It just makes it very easy to expose.
Here's a photo if you want to look at it.
Look at that. Look at
There
that.
it is. The L-Zone.
Yeah.
It does
See,
look
So,
like kind of like
here
yeah,
the-
it's
Codecs.
the
basically
stops.
similar concept, but like it's representing values in stops.
Yeah.
And to me, stops of light is so
Line of
easier to
sight.
understand than IRE values, because what if you're recording for HDR, or what if you're recording I don't know. I feel IRE values is fine. I'm not saying false color is bad. I use it too because I can't use L zone and everything, but I do think L zone is better than false color any day of the week. It just needs to get out of the limitation of. I think a DP made it too. Can you find out who's the DP that invented L zone? But it's not like made by a company. It's made by a DP, so I think they have to just license it from him or whatever. But it's made by a working professional. Again, this is designed for people like us who are working in the field. It's not just made by some company in a not, no offense, I know you're a software engineer, but if you're not in the field, I feel like a lot of times these companies will make a product and throw it on the field, and then they have never worked with a professional before, and they have to get to version 2 or
Okay.
3 before
The
it's tweaked.
DP is called Ed Lackman. Here is a photo of him.
Look at that.
He's the guy. There
So
it
he
is.
invented, shout out to him.
Yeah,
Really cool
L
system.
zone.
I really like using L zone. Unfortunately, I only get to use it when I'm using the Cine 7, which is generally mounted on the A cam. So, which is good, but I can't do it on all the cameras. That's the only limitation I have currently. So basically forces you to buy small HD monitors. I don't know that many other monitors that support it yet. So that's the catch there.
All right, I'm going to change it. I'm going to give this a whole 180 degree turn and veer away from talking gear for a second. So we were on a super fun shot.
Yeah.
Okay. On a fun shoot. I'm sorry. What has been your most gratifying job that you have done in the video industry?
Oh wow, that's crazy. Gratifying in what way? Financially, I don't
Open
know,
question.
artistically. Oh wow,
Open question.
dude. Oh, you're gonna put me behind because I can think of one right now, but it's under NDA, so I can't talk about it.
Okay.
I would say the first time somebody paid me 6 figures for a video. It sounds crazy, when I started, I can't go too much into it. It was NDA, but what I could say is this simple, like what I'll tell you. Your mindset goes, when I started, I was like, oh, if I can make $100,000 a year, life would. And then somebody comes in one day and says, hey, here's a budget, and we need one video, 2-minute video. Here's the requirements. What are we looking at budget wise? We're thinking about 100, 150, And I'm like, what? Right in your brain, right? When until the number's scaring you, and then you just go, well, the parameters make sense because the requirements of the video. Okay, we got to shoot this. We need this much crew. We need this much set bill. Like you can clearly see where the numbers are coming from. They're not, but what I'm saying is like, but as a person, you for a second you go, what the fuck? Like I'm looking at numbers that I don't know. I couldn't imagine once, right? I'm like, you tell me one project, one video, I'm going to be paid that much. I know, and I'll give you a real world example of a different one because I know I can't talk much about it. But yeah, most of these big projects, that's the only negative. They usually come through agencies. They usually come through big brands. So, and for some reason they want NDAs. I don't know why. I get it. But like, I don't know. I'm fine. I don't do this for credit. So I'm like, I'll sign whatever NDA. I'm pretty sure I would love to talk about the job I'm doing right now. Tomorrow's the last day. So, we're doing this after a shoot day. Point is, I would love to talk about it, but I have a feeling I heard them talk about it. Oh, we got to get the crew to sign NDAs. I was like, really? Why could you say that on day one? So I captured so much footage, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to be able to show any of it because it's probably all about to go under NDA. So that's, I think, our negative of what we do. And trust me, what I've been shooting is there's nothing there that I would even think they need an NDA for. But, when you have so much money and people involved, people tend to, I guess, protect their footage. So I get it. But anyway, that was like a very gratifying moment for me. Like I said, I'm very professional, I'm very business. I was like, yeah, absolutely, let's do it. And like I said, the rate was valid. It's not like they're giving me free money. But then you just walk out and you go, what? Did we just do that? Did we just get so much money to make a video? Yes, we did. And then you just move on with your life, right? but yes, that was very gratifying. But talk about the other one. It is this project. I'm really excited. So this client, I've been working with them for 3 years. I'm talking about the car shoot that we just did, and I've been pitching them ideas. Every time I meet them, I'm like, let's do this, let's do this, and they're small company. Yes, they make very expensive cars, but they sell limited number of cars. They're not selling millions of cars.
Right.
So as a company, they don't have that much marketing spend. They have money, but it's limited money. So they got to be careful where they spend it. And it's not like they're not making videos with their in-house videographer and editor. So I come in for special projects, but I want to do something bigger than what we've been able to do in the past. So I really was like, how can we come and get involved? So for them to finally go, hey, Ripple, we're about to launch this car. Let's go make 12 series of 12 videos before we launch this car. And I'm like, awesome, sign me up. And that's why normally I'm all about, like, you have certain rates, certain budgets, certain things. You got to do it. And then this client, I was like, and I'm a straight shooter. I was like, okay, so 12 videos is a lot of work, right? A lot of shoot days, really last minute shoots. So point is, what's the budget? And then the budget is X number, right? And I'm like, that would sound crazy. Again, if you didn't know the parameters of the shoot, right? If I'm like, here's $100,000, right? It sounds like a lot of money, but now I'm like, yeah, I own, like, you have to work here for 2.5 months. And you go, okay, that's a lot. Now you got to bring 20 other people with you. Okay, right? The money starts to dwindle, and you quickly realize, oh, the profit is very low. So again, it's a really high budget for them, but once you break it down over the course of work, post, pre-production, production, it wasn't the highest budget. But I was really excited to take it because I was like, I don't have to fly. It's a company that I'm already in relationship with, and we're gonna make some sick videos that those type of clients are not just there every day. So I'm really passionate about it. We've obviously done a few shoot days. You were part of one of them, and obviously we're gonna do a few more. And I would love for you to bring you back when we have a finished car and we do a track day. I think that'd be an awesome day to bring you back. Because the one we did was a mule car, right? That car is just for testing. It's not painted,
and it still looked amazing.
Yeah, it still looked amazing. So can't wait for the car when it's actually finished, when it's painted, when they've dialed in everything, right? That I think is going to be an incredible shoot to do. But anyway, the project was gratifying because what we do is transformative. As in, like, when I send my video to a client, they go sell their products and services. They make a lot of money and they thank you. It feels good, right? But that's it. Right, you don't get to do something at the core of it. I'm just shooting interviews and B-roll, right? Or maybe some scripted content where they're talking to camera or whatever. What I'm saying is, like, as a filmmaker goes, I only do a few projects a year where, like, lives are at stake, or we're doing something cool. At the end of the day, we're doing corporate video. I get it. This isn't like the most thrill-seeking videos. And if car stuff, like, I'm doing it for dealerships, maybe, right? A commercial. Sure, we'll do a car rig, but that's nothing crazy. It's like one shot of a car driving, right, on a bridge or something. You know what I'm talking about. It's not like, so here we're like, oh, we're going to go on track day. They're showing me, I don't know, how do you say that fancy car company? Our comparison was some really, really fancy Conesec, I think, car enthusiasts are gonna kill me for saying it wrong. Look
the car company?
Yeah, it's Konnesig, something like that. Yeah, like I said, people who love hypercars are like, like, this guy can't even say the name. But like, that was our, like, reference video, just to see, not like we're making the same thing, but like inspiration. Like, hey, another small company. Look up Konnesig on Google, and it'll show a car company, and then it should just recommend the top link. And that's basically like, and I'm like, that's like a huge company.
Oh, here it is.
You found it? Okay.
This
Look at that. Yeah, pull up the website. So they make the world's fastest, I think, car or something like that. That's street legal. So, say, like, incredible cars. That's not my car, the company that I'm working with. What I'm saying is, that's when your reference videos are coming from that. You go, wow, like, we get to build something really cool. And guess what? Our budget is 1/10. Oh, your time is 1/10 of what they have, right? So and then you're put in under these limitations or whatever, and then you go, okay, let me do something really cool here, and we can make, hopefully, same, better, or even if you get close to it under the limited parameters that we have, because like I said, this project wasn't even closed until like what Monday, and we were shooting Thursday, right? You know how tight the deadline was. I didn't even talk to you until like a day or two
Yeah.
before the shoot. Like, hey, let's go.
And to be honest with you, I was so happy that that the whole stars lined up. Like, I was available. Alex was in town. We had all the gear. We had all the everything, and you were like, "Yeah, meet me tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. You got it. Let's go."
Yeah, it came into it, and to be able to get, like I said, the FPV guy that I hired, Andrew, wasn't available, so I was like, oh, I need an FPV, because like I said, if it's a regular drone, I can do it, but I want to direct. I don't want to be tied into a drone, so I was like, I need a drone pilot, but I need an FPV drone pilot. So I was like, Andrew, well, you can't do it, then you got to recommend me someone, and he was like, hey, here's a guy I trust, and the guy did amazing, obviously. The footage was incredible. I wish we could be showing that right now, but it's not there yet.
Right.
But yeah, no, that project was incredible. And talk about gratifying. To me, that whole shoot day was gratifying. I was like, you tell me we get paid to do this? This is incredible. And the only thing I was worried about is like, I hope that I don't get giddy. I've been doing this since 2010, so I'm not like, like this is like second nature to me. I love what I do, but I'm like not like giddy about shoots. I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's a shoot. Like it's fun, but I'm not like. But this was one of those shoots where I don't know if you noticed. I was like very happy and excited to be there, but I was like, I hope the client doesn't think that who are these bunch of amateurs that I hired, because we're all just so excited to be there, because I'm like, it was fun to be around there. It was fun to be part of something incredible.
I think if they are the ones having fun too, like it's contagious.
Exactly,
so
right?
I don't think it's a bad way, because I remember when I was talking to the engineers and they were like talking about temperatures in the car and this and that and the other, and I was like, man, you guys have the coolest job in the world, and they're like, yep. Like,
yeah, they love what they do. So yeah, no, that was a very gratifying project. So no, thanks for asking about that. Yeah, I love what I do, but it's not every day we get to do cool stuff like that. That's where I'm gonna leave it. Not that what my other clients do is not cool. The shoots aren't that cool. They're more marketing related, or analytics related, which is fine. I love deep diving into business and numbers, but it's not as fun as a car shoot. So that's what I'm saying. I'm really excited about finishing this project, sharing these videos, and they're going to be coming slowly as probably what these podcast episodes roll out. So maybe in the future we'll be able to share some of the content. But yeah, no, I'm so glad that you have been and will continue to be a part of this project, and hopefully more. And it just came from, like I said, something very random as wanting to use a Pocket 3 camera. And that's why I tell people the power of networking is crazy. You would be amazed how many friends I have that I met through renting a random gear from them. Like, hey, I need this, or they rented something random from me because they needed it, and I was the guy who had it. Like, connections can be made anywhere. And when you relate to each other, you want to work together. And if you work together and create great images, you progress, and then you hire each other again, right?
Right.
And that's why a lot of people like ask me, they're like, should I go to film school? I'm like, not for the education element of it. Not that they're not teaching good stuff, but it's just you don't need it. You can learn it on the job very easy. What we do, you don't need a degree for it, right? Yeah. But here's something you do gain at college is networking, because you're gonna now be surrounded by other people who love to do what we do, right? And then guess what? Some of them obviously may not end up doing this full time after they get out of college. Happens. But someone may go direct a Hollywood movie. Someone may go direct a Super Bowl commercial. You don't know. And if you are in that network, high chance, high likelihood, you're going to go together and you're going to be able to piggyback if each other, right? Where oh, I know a great sound guy, or I know the great DP or whatever. And you never know where your career goes. So networking is a huge element that you could get out of school. And not that you couldn't get it outside of school, but I'm saying that is the only good thing that comes out of film school, in my humble opinion. But yes, being able to network, I think, is a huge element of what we do. It's only who you know, right? Like, a lot of people are like, oh, I'll go buy, like, oh, Vipul has so much gear. I'll just go buy all this gear and somehow I have all this work. I'm like, most of my clients never call me because of the gear. They only call me because they know me, or they trust me, or they heard from someone they trust to hire me. I hope that makes sense.
Yes.
Because so many people I know are like, this is going in the reel. And it's good. Sure, reels are nice. They're fine. But at least for what I do, where I help brands and companies, none of my clients go to my website to watch a reel, right? They usually come, and that's like number one thing I always ask. So how did you find out about me, or why did you decide to hire us, or whatever? Just so I know, right, where my clients are coming in. And most of the time, it's that. It's like, hey, we know this one who recommended you, or we met you here and we know you,
That's
right?
how. That's
Yeah.
how. So I do have a website, but most of the times, or most of the new businesses that we have acquired, has been through word of mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
Word of mouth. And then anytime they do come through social media, it's so crazy. I don't, which we're trying to, obviously, by the time you watch this, we're making an attempt to be more active on social media. But it's funny, I've had a few clients where they go, yeah, we looked up you up and you had the better stuff than anyone else. And I'm like, are you sure? Because I haven't updated my reel in 4 years. I haven't posted about anything. So, I mean, absolutely. I'm like, so where did you see our social media? Because, I'm not going to waste their time by asking 20 questions. But generally, when I ask them, it's rare. But sometimes they've said that. I'm like, even I'm debating. I'm like, I know when they say, oh, I know this person, I know what I've done for them, what kind of level of videos they've looked at. That helps give a reference point of the price point they're looking at. But it's hard when they're like, yeah, we looked at social media. You had the best content. I'm like, not that we don't make good content, we don't post about it. So I was like, not that we shouldn't. That's just sort of flaw on us, which is why I'm trying to do this, be more proactive. But most of my clients, typically, I'm saying they're not looking at reels. They're going by trust because they worked hard for their money, right? Or their jobs. Because if they're a marketing manager, their head is on the line if they do a huge campaign and the campaign fails to bring in the revenue, right? Or they do or it's a CEO who's like limited funds for marketing and they spend it on me and I don't bring them results. So they're very careful where they spend money. And that's the thing, like I'm like, I hope people learn. It's like it's not that your creativity sucks or you're not good at what you do. You're definitely, if you've got the skills, obviously that's important. But if you don't, acquire them. But a lot of times when you're really good filmmakers, you sometimes still may be struggling. I listened to some filmmaker right now in LA was like, yeah, I'll take as low as $350. And I'm like, holy moly, right? Not that $350 is low amount of money, I'm saying, but for you to have that much experience and been in the industry so long, but you're struggling for work, when the industry is struggling, you'll take, whatever you get. And at the end of the day, I'm like, but there is a way out of it as long as you can give others a value. Because if your value is, I'm a really good filmmaker, I'll bring a camera, then you're worth the few $100, right? And that's fine if that's what you enjoy. But at least to my clients, they pay a huge amount of money is because I'm not bringing them value of camera. That's what I'm saying. The equipment is there to help me do the job,
right.
not because the client wants the equipment, right? Most of the time it's like, hey, we have this problem, we need more clients or whatever, right? Or we're struggling to grow, we need to figure out whatever. And then I go in and it's like, okay, looks too old school, or this needs to be changed, it needs to be implemented on the video side, obviously, right? And then we make those videos, and they generally work because we know what we're doing because we've done this so many times. You can look at reference points of this type of business, and then this is what they need. This is the result there was, and then you keep up, obviously, with the industries because you gotta keep tweaking your work. But what I'm saying is, it's just about helping others, and then they pay for videos, but indirectly for the results those videos would give. If that makes sense.
In what I have learned in the years that I've been, short 2 years that I've been doing this, they don't care if you have an FX3 or an FX6. Yeah. All they care about is how much money is it going to bring to them, the product that we give them. So, what's my ROI? That's the big thing. So.
Yeah, exactly. But I've had some people who go, then okay, I'm going to keep up all the money and let me give them a shitty product because it's still, let's say, thoughtfully produced. I'm just saying they don't deserve that either. I feel like you shouldn't take advantage of your clients, but at the end of the day, equipment doesn't matter. Just use the right tool for the job, whether you have it or just rent it from your friends. Go build a network. Don't have a network. Just call people, right? Like you said, meet, go on shoots, hang out, and you never know what leads to where, and you'll end up on who knows what set, and then you'll be working together. It's crazy. Like I have a friend who got me on the job because he met someone on an Adidas shoot, and then they went on to do something together, right? Like they were random people on a shoot together, and they were like, "Hey, let's go make something together." 6 months later, right? And so you never know where that network is coming from. But if you refuse to go be a PA or I don't know, a gaffer or something, it doesn't always have to be like you don't have to be a DP or a director every shoot, because networking I think is a huge element in what we do because they have to know this agency or this company, let's say they want videos, they have to know you exist. And then they have to know that you will solve that problem. They're not gonna know that by you, staying at your home or making a couple of Instagram reels. Like I love those reels as a filmmaker where it's like, hey, this is how I shot it. This is the final result. It's cool, but it's like, how do they know that solved the problem? If their problem is I don't have enough leads closing, right? Sure, we get a lot of leads in, but most of our leads don't close. We have a low conversion rate. I don't know if they care how you shot it and what's the end result. I hope that makes sense.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, but again, that's why we are brought in, right?
Yep.
Now you do both style of videos, right? You've helped brands and companies, but you've also done, like you said, music work. And in my little experience with it, I found that they don't generally have the bigger budgets. So how have your experience been talking about business side of things, working with concerts versus, let's say, a company?
Two different worlds. Okay, so usually for concerts, you have a specific amount of money. I mean, I'm gonna say probably between the range of like $1,000 to $1,500 to go shoot a night, do the next day. But that's a quick thing in and out,
Yeah.
right? For corporate work, which is my preferred style, right? Like, don't get me wrong, I
Yeah.
love concerts, I love live events. I dance, I sing, I jump, and everything. But that's something that is more for fun
Yeah.
than for actual
Yeah.
cash. Corporate work for me, this is where it's at, right?
Mhm.
More because whenever we do corporate work, okay, I am the person who actually does the interview, and I like sitting down with the customer. The I like, tell me about what your company is, and try to get their emotion and draw that conversation towards that part, while I control all the set and I don't know. It's a
Yeah.
different type of thing. It's a different feeling. But if you really want to make money into this, corporate is where it's at, right?
So you just moved into town, not literally that long ago. Have you gotten a local client yet?
In Orlando, one, and
How
it
did you
was
land that client? Because I think it'd be a
through
good
a
thing to
friend.
know through a friend
Through a
that
friend.
mutually. And how did that go? It was
It's okay.
is okay. So what's your strategy? So you're now in Newtown. Obviously, you know some people, but you're not like you don't have a huge network. You just got here. Obviously, you're lucky that you have a really good 9 to 5. But you have a production company and a partner, so you guys need to grow in this area. What is the strategy that you're thinking you're gonna deploy to go out and just
So for now, we have been running ads on social media. That's one. I have gone to 2 meetings in the Chamber of Commerce, my local Chamber of Commerce.
which one is that?
St. Cloud.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah,
Have gone to 2 of them. I think that's very important, just to network and figure out,
yeah, or just be active in the
just to get to know
community. Yeah,
people.
yeah.
I actually have contacted a couple of marketing agencies, just
Yeah.
giving out names and numbers. Met with other industry people in the industry. So there are several things that are going on at the same time. So, but we're not completely dead still, because a lot of the jobs that we actually have done have been in Miami. So we have been traveling back and forth
A
quite
little bit.
regularly.
Yeah.
But me personally, I am not in a position to be traveling 3 hours every single day,
Yeah.
right? Just because I just got married. I just bought a house. Do have a 9 to 5
Yeah.
job.
Yeah, you got a
but-
lot going on. Congratulations.
right.
Marriage, new house, new city, new everything.
Thank you. So it's been kind of
Yeah.
that I don't know where I'm at. I don't know anybody. That sort of
Yeah,
thing. So that's why things that like when we talked the first time, I was like, man, I just want to go and get the cameras out and do something. You know?
And I could totally get it because I was in Orlando for years, and I left for a few years and came back, and I felt like I didn't know anyone. I was like, I was here. I worked with people, and all of a sudden, it took me even a few months to like get out, go back, build a network, talk to people, because, like you said, once you leave an area, like you lose touch or whatever, and people all start traveling and moving all the time. So for you to come to, like you said, a new city where you didn't even live here for years like I did, so it can be difficult, but it's doable. I don't want anyone to think that it's not doable. At the end of the day, it's just about, like you said, boots on the ground, meeting the people. Shout out to Steven, who was the finale on the last season. He's the president of the Western Chamber of Commerce. I had him on the podcast, quite literally telling you from the chamber's perspective how to get the most out of it. I don't know how easier can I make it. Like for people who love what they do, they just want this to be a full-time career or to make whatever kind of money they're looking to make from the corporate commercial world. But looking on your perspective, why did you then pick? Sounds like Miami's more active, which makes sense. A lot of concerts there. Why did you pick Orlando or South Orlando in general as your location to buy a house and move to over Miami?
Price.
Just price.
Just price. Period. With the amount of money that I was going to buy something here, I would not buy half of the property in Miami.
Miami's very expensive.
That's about it.
Makes
You know,
sense, yeah.
so I said that it was much more, let's call it, chill environment than Miami. I was born in Caracas, Venezuela, so it's a pretty crazy atmosphere. So I wanted something a little more calm.
St. Cloud's really beautiful, yeah.
And so that's why I picked the Orlando.
For being Orlando, yeah. Orlando is not chill because we are the tourist capital of America, if not the world. But St. Cloud's near the tourist area, like you're next to Kissimmee, but you're not there.
Right.
So you get the quaint, small town vibe while being in the major, metropolitan area of Orlando. So it's a good pick.
And not only that, I strategically picked being close to the Florida Turnpike, so that way I can just hop on the Turnpike if I need to, and that's it.
And just end up wherever, yeah.
Right.
So yeah, which is awesome, which is why you were able to come here. I can't believe you just moved because you not only moved to town, but then you bought a house and closed on it and moved. That took a second, but you just moved literally to your new house a few days ago. So for you, and I know it was chaos when I moved here, dude. We didn't even get, our plan was, we'll get the thing, we'll put up the blinds, because this was renovated, they didn't even have blinds. I was like, we didn't even get blinds in here for days like after we had closed on the house, because there's so much to do when you buy a brand new house. So I can't believe that you're here doing this and talking to me, but this is awesome. I really want to connect because, like I said, it's usually I connect with someone and then we go on a shoot. It's the opposite with you, where we went on a shoot and then we're now connected. Not that we didn't talk that day, we talked significant amount, but that was while we were working. But to be able to come and do this while we're doing this, in this type of setting, but it's great to learn. I can't wait to do more shoots with you and just collaborate in general, because I think now that I've seen your skill, I saw what we were able to do. I know we were only using Pocket 3s, but just with their BTS content, because you were, doing it with your ZVE1, and just in general, the vibe. Because to me, it's like, when you hang out with people is when you realize how their vibes are.
When someone knows,
yeah,
you just
and then
know.
the footage is fire. That adds to the element. So I think what we created was awesome. It was fun to hang out. I think that all five of us just had such a great time. The client loved it. We loved it, which is, I think, the best of both worlds. And I can't wait to just do more shoots with you. So before we go, can't believe it's freaking been already 2 hours. Right, Mario? Are we running almost? What time are we looking at?
Yeah, we're good. We're almost at 2 hours.
Okay, so before we go, Esteban, you want to tell people, where to go follow you or where to come learn more about what you do?
All right, so our website is phoenixfilms.co. We have the entire portfolio that we have done there, anywhere from photography to corporate videography, events, live events, sports, and gastronomy, aka food and cocktails. And our Instagram page is Phoenix Films 901. So at Phoenix Films 901, and you can just follow us there and send us a message. Right now, like I said, I'm open to meeting new people, figuring out, where things are. I know it's going to take a minute before I actually start connecting with like potential customers and all that stuff. But man, I am more than happy to, like I did with you, man, just let's go out on a shoot. Let's go out,
Let's go out. Let's get the cameras out. And like I said, I highly recommend listening to Steven's podcast because I really love what you said about you've already been to the Chamber of Commerce. The biggest thing is how to get the most out of Chamber of Commerce. Biggest thing is, like you said, you got to get connected. But when you do, there's certain ways to approach it. I would highly recommend listening from the president because, he's outsider from video. So he could tell you exactly how to make as a video business the most out of it. But you are taking the right steps. This is exactly what I did, and it worked for me when I moved back to Orlando. You go out and be more active in the business community. You go meet other filmmakers. You just do what you do. Right, and don't stop taking gigs from Memphis. I don't think you are, because you got to continue. Like I left Alabama doesn't mean we're not taking gigs.
I'm going back tomorrow.
Exactly.
I'm
there
going
you
back
go.
tomorrow
Look
for
at
a gig tomorrow.
And
so.
right, yeah. So
Right.
so the what we do, location technically doesn't matter because like I'm on a plane all the time. Just came back from Chicago. We're gonna go somewhere else. I think Missouri next. So it's like you're always, I'm saying, traveling. So it doesn't matter. You're in Orlando. Doesn't mean you can't take gigs in Memphis still or other places.
Right.
So I think you're on the right path. I'm just so glad we connected. We're definitely going to shoot more. And I'm just happy to, have you in my network. And I'm so glad you're in Orlando, man. We're gonna kill it. So thank you, Esteban. This was fun talking, man.
All
Until
right.
next time. Yeah.
Cool, brother. Thank you, Mario.
Cut, Mario.
Thank you, guys. Bye bye.